Yo, you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today, I'm going to be bringing you a look at two Stinkors for the price of one. So specifically, we're going to be looking at the brand new Masters of the Universe Origin Stinkor, as well as the Masters of the Universe Revelation Masterverse Stinkor, both figures, of course, from Mattel. Now, in this review, it's my hope that, you can decide which one you want to add to your collection. Maybe you'll want to add both of them. I guess it really depends on how much of a Stinkor fan you actually are. So the packaging on the Origins one is the same that we see with all the Origins figures. You've got the card back, the Masters of the Universe logo up top, the name of the character. He's the evil master of odors. You've got that Modern Power Retro Play logo, and the product has real smell, just like the original. And then on the back of the packaging, you've got the artwork up at the top. And then down below, you've got a look at other figures that have been released in the line. And then for the Stinkor figure, again, in the same style packaging that we see with all the Masterverse figures, the window box, the figure's clearly displayed. You've got that Masterverse logo up the top. Tells us the figure has 30 points of articulation. Because it is based on a Netflix series, you've got that Netflix logo up in the corner, the Revelation logo, and the name of the character down below. On the side, you've got some artwork for Stinkor, and then on the back of the packaging, you have additional artwork for the character and a brief bio. And then down below, a look at the figures, the other figures in the wave that are shipping with Stinkor. So let's get both of these figures open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at both figures outside the packaging along with their other contents. Now, the Masterverse figure does come with more accessories than the Origins figure, which is not terribly surprising. The Masterverse figure is more expensive. It retails for about 20 bucks. The Origins figure retails for around 12, 13 bucks. So, again, it's not too surprising that you actually get a little bit more with the Masterverse figure. Now, for the accessories that come with the Masterverse figure, you get his shield accessory, you get an extra pair of hands, you get a closed fist and an open hand as your alternate hands. And then the hands that are attached to the figure are a pair of grip hands when you take it out of the packaging. And you'll need the grip hands in order to hold the shield. The shield has two straps, so one that goes over the wrist and then one that goes into the grip of the hand. And he does hold the shield nice and tight once you get it in there. And then finally, you get, with this one, two different head sculpts. So you get this, this is the one that's attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging. I guess we'll call this the normal head sculpt. Overall, pretty nice paint detail with the black and then the white around the eyes and then the blue and then the yellow pupils with the little black slits. I have a little bit of blue that comes onto the yellow here on the left eyeball, but nothing major there. And then you also have his mouth, which I guess you would call closed. And you have the sculpted teeth there. So overall, pretty good. And then he also has the white stripe, skunk-like stripe on the top of his head. Now, the second head sculpt has the mask, his gas mask. So this one, very similar expression overall. Primarily, the difference is the gas mask. And it is actually removable. I didn't actually think this was going to be removable, but it is. He has a hole here in his mouth, so you do see that when you take the gas mask off. It just has a little peg there, and the mask itself is just done with a somewhat hard blue plastic. Not a whole lot of detail there, but I thought, with it being an alternate head, I thought they were going to make it so the gas mask was actually just sculpted onto the face, but or glued, but it's not. It's actually removable, which is nice. Paint detail is pretty much the same as the other head sculpt with the white stripe and the black and then the blue and the yellow and white around the eyes. Overall, no real complaints there. But I definitely think it's nice that they gave you both head sculpts with this one. And then here's a look at the second head sculpt with the gas mask on the actual figure. And again, if you want to, you can actually take this off. And one thing I have noticed is this head sculpt, the second head sculpt, doesn't fit as tightly on the ball. I may need to take a hairdryer and loosen that up again so I can get it to snap into place good. Again, for mine, at least out of the package, it comes off much easier than the other head sculpt. But overall, I do think it looks pretty good. Now going back to the Origins figure, so first of all, with this one, something you don't get with the Masterverse figure is you do get a mini comic like with the original toy line, which I like. Gives you some background story featuring pretty much all the figures in this particular wave. So Web Store and the Goddess and Stinkor all make appearances in this storyline. So overall, that's pretty good. Beastman is in there as well. So these are the figures in the wave with Stinkor. So it's always cool that they include that. But other than that, you only get the shield, and with this shield, it's just got the one type strap that you have to kind of just slide into the open hand that is on the left, and it does stay on there pretty good. But you can't really get it on this right hand that is more of a grip hand. And it doesn't come with any other type of weapon accessories. Now, both figures do have the chest harness piece, which is removable. I'm not going to take it off on either one, but technically you can remove that on both figures. Now, one other thing with Stinkor, especially the Origin Stinkor, is the stench of the character. So that is an actual play feature that they included with the Origins one. Now, I will tell you, I never owned the original Stinkor, so I don't know how the smell on this compares. It doesn't really stink. It really smells more like, just like new plastic. Maybe with a little bit of piney freshness to it, but it's definitely not a bad smell. This one has a smell to it as well. Again, smells like new plastic. So this one is not billed as having the stink feature to it. So I think that is on the Masterverse one is just plastic. But I can't really tell a big difference. This one definitely has a stronger scent. So, but it's not something that it's not like you're going, oh my god, it's nothing like that. And again, I never had the original Stinkor as a kid, so I don't know how that one smelled comparatively. But I definitely wouldn't say that either figure smells bad. Okay, so let's take a look at both figures, and obviously the detailing on the Masterverse figure is a little bit nicer than the Origins one. The Origins figure is meant to be more of a nod to the original toy line, so the articulation and design obviously is more in keeping with that. I will say that the different contrast in the armor, the orange color in the armor is very different, strikingly different. I don't know if this is more in keeping, the Origins figure, if that kind of sharp orangey red is more in keeping with the original figure. But I do overall prefer this lighter orange color on the Masterverse figure. Now, besides having just a very sharp orange on his chest and on his on his briefs and down here on his boots, he has this kind of pinkish color mixed in on the front of his chest harness piece here, as well as on his belt. And then his hands are more in keeping with that color as opposed to the sharp orange. Now, this portion on the figure is painted differently, so it comes off looking a little bit different. It's a little bit darker shade of red on the upper wrist as opposed to the actual hands themselves. It would have been nice if they could have matched these two colors up a little bit more. But, again, being that this is, a less expensive Origins figure, I don't have real complaints, especially if you're a fan of the original toy line and you want something in keeping with that. This is definitely a nice figure to have. Now, taking a closer look at the head sculpt on the Origins one, now you only get the one head sculpt with this one, but again, overall, just nice detailing. You get a much darker black on this one than you do on the Masterverse one, and you don't get like the blue, but you do get the white, and then you also have the yellow with the slits, and his mouth is kind of open. And he's got those skunk-like ears, and he's got a lot more white on the top of his head than the Masterverse one does, which I actually kind of like. So no complaints there. And then he also has the white striping that goes down the arms. The legs are just basically black, and then with the feet, it's that orange color. Now the orange on the feet does match up with like his briefs and his harness piece. My only real complaint with the paint apps on this one, again, is with the gloves. It would have been nice if the hands matched up a little bit with the rest of the glove that's sculpted on the wrist there. Now with the Masterverse one, he's got this loincloth, which is, got more paint detail in it. It is, it's a separate piece made with a rubber type material. So, it looks like an actual loincloth. And then he's got the belt, which is red. And the gloves and, on the upper portion, and then the hands match up much better on this figure than they do with the Origins one. He's got the white again down the sides. I think there's some white color underneath the harness pieces on the figures, at least on the Origins one. I'm not sure if there is on this one. I haven't taken it off because they're always kind of a pain to get back on once you unhook them. But again, you can take this off if you want to. They just snap here on the sides. And then with this one, you've got the tanks, which you didn't have on the original figure, to go along with kind of like that gas mask. Now, no wires or tubing or anything like that to connect, the oxygen tanks with like his face piece or anything. You've got this piece that sticks up. So, this is the only other Stinkor figure that I've owned, and this is actually more of a statue. It was done by the Four Horsemen when they were transitioning from the 2000X action figures, and then they went to doing these statues with no articulation. But with this one, you've got the hoses that actually connect his gas mask. So you don't have that on this one, not quite that detailed. And then finally on the feet, he's got the distinct toes. So, on the Origins figures, they all had that kind of same generic type foot. So you do get a little more uniqueness. Though I guess these are probably the same type of feet that we see like on the Skeletor figure. But, they're just a little more unique looking, even though like the claws are not painted a different color or anything. The foot's just a solid red color. So Masterverse Stinkor here stands, if you count to the top of his ears, right about 7 inches exactly. The Origins figure stands, if you count to the tip of his ears, right about 6 inches. And one other thing about the Origins figure that is a play feature in all Origins figure is you can take off pieces of the figure, things like the arms, and you can intermix them with other Origins figures. It's never something I ever use, but again, that is an actual feature that is built with these Origins figures. So you can pop off there at the midsection, again with the arms and stuff. The legs, I don't think are removable on this one, so you can just pop off from the midsection down, and then take off the arms and the head on this particular figure. And then, like I said, you can mix them and match them with other Origins figures, or the Masters of the WWE figures are compatible with this line as well. And for size comparison, so here's a look at the Masterverse Skeletor figure. And then also here is a look at the Masterverse Spikor figure. And Stinkor is a little bit taller by, a smidgen, a little bit taller than Spikor. And then for Origins, here's a comparison with the Origins Skeletor figure. And then also here is the Origins Evil Lyn figure. And one final comparison, here's the Origins with that 2000X Stinkor, and then the new Masterverse Stinkor. And just one quick note, if you happen to have that 2000X Stinkor, the Staticon, he came with an actual weapon, a bladed weapon, which you don't get with like these other figures. I feel like Stinkor deserves a weapon other than just the shield. Obviously, he has his stench, but you can use that bladed weapon that came with the statue version, the 2000X one, with like the Masterverse figure. The grip on the weapon is pretty thick, so you might need to loosen up the hand grip with like heat, but again, he will hold it. And the orange isn't exactly the same. The orange on the weapon is a little bit darker orange than like on his harness piece, but still I think it actually works pretty good. Okay, let's go over the articulation on the Masterverse figure first. So he can turn his head all the way around if you want, even with that harness piece that sticks up. You can still get the head up pretty good. You don't get a whole lot of up and down movement or pivot though, so you just get the rotation. Now with the arms, you can get the arm out good, and you have good rotation there, but you don't have any kind of butterfly joint there. You've got a bicep swivel. You do get a double hinged elbow, so he's got pretty good bending there. and then you get rotation with the hands, and you have the hinges on the hands, so you've got up and down movement. I don't know if he has any kind of ab crunch, but I don't think he does. But even if he did, this harness piece would limit that. So you've got the rotation there at the waist. You got a little bit of pivot, but he really can't crunch forward or back too much on this one. And then with the legs, he can do the splits about that much. You can get the leg forward pretty good, and then you can do the leg back also pretty good. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. You've got a boot cuff swivel. You've got hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and you do get ankle pivot with this one, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Now the Origins figure is a little bit more limited as far as articulation goes, better than the original figures, but not as articulated as the Masterverse. So again, you can turn the head all the way around. You do actually get better down movement on the head with this one. He really can't look back at all, but you do get some down movement with the head, which you don't with the Masterverse one. Then with the arms, you can get the arm out pretty good. You've got good rotation there. You've got you do not have a bicep swivel. You've got a single hinged elbow, and then you get rotation with the elbow. And then with the hands, you do have the hinges, so up and down movement and rotation there. You get a waist swivel with this one, but no ab crunch or anything. He can do the splits about that much. He can only get his leg forward about that much, and then he can do the leg back about that much. You do not get a thigh swivel. You can turn a little bit up there. You know, the leg just attaches with like a ball type joint, so you get a little bit, but not really any kind of thigh swivel on this one. Single hinge knee, so you can bend his knee that much, and again, you get rotation with the knee. You also get a boot cuff swivel with this one, hinges on the feet. You also get ankle pivot with these, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I think, both of these are pretty good figures for what they are. If you like the Origins line, then this is one I think you will want to add to your collection. Definitely has a very unique smell to it. Not bad, but definitely unique. It's almost like it's its own air freshener. It's kind of weird. And again, I don't know how that compares to the original figure since I never had that one. This one has a little bit of a smell to it, but I think it is just a new plastic smell. But you definitely, more detail, more accessories, and, probably out of the two is actually the cooler of the two figures. Now, he only had a brief appearance in the Revelation series in part 1, but it was a pretty cool, scene with him going up against Tila and such. So, hopefully we'll get to see him again if we get a third season. But as far as the character goes, I think it's a cool one and definitely worth picking up. Now, both of these figures are available now. Places like our sponsor, Big Bad Toy Store, do have these in stock. That's where I got mine. So if you want to pick them up, that's probably where I'd recommend you check them out. They're also hitting physical stores. I think places like Walmart and Target are getting both the Masterverse and Origins figures. So you might be able to find them on shelves as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts about either figure down in the comments section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. Like this video if you're so inclined. As always, guys, stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.